Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Ostap from Department of Philology at Ukrainian Catholic University, Lviv, Ukraine. And I am really happy to be here with you at Innovation in Language Learning 2025. This conference is about what all of us care most deeply about: finding new ways to keep our students curious, creative, and genuinely engaged. These days, attention has become the new literacy. Our challenge as language educators isn't just to teach English, it's to design learning that feels alive, that captures imagination and sustains motivation. When was the last time your students smiled during a grammar exercise? That question, playful as it sounds, often exposes the heart of today's teaching challenge. In many classrooms, English learning still feels like a duty, necessary, but rarely joyful. And yet, outside school, young people inhabit worlds that reward curiosity, persistence, and creativity. Video games, interactive apps, and digital communities. The question for us as educators is how to bridge those worlds, how to make learning feel as alive as the environments our students already thrive in. In my talk today, I'd like to share a study conducted together with my colleagues, Dr. Hanna Podosynnikova from Sumy State Pedagogical University, named after Makarenko, Ukraine, and Dr. Olga Morgunova from Mariupol State University, Ukraine, whose experience and insight greatly contributed to the research design and analysis. Our collective focus was to explore how bringing elements of gamification into the English classroom can enhance engagement, motivation, and digital literacy among seventh grade learners of English, as well as help them rediscover that spark, learning not because they have to, but because they want to. Gamification is no longer a novelty, it's a pedagogical reality. The digital generation, sometimes described as screen natives, expects interaction, feedback, and visible progress. Traditional education, in contrast, often delivers delayed evaluation, invisible achievement, and limited autonomy. Across the world, curriculum reforms in Ukraine have begun to move from knowledge transmission toward competence development, emphasizing communication, collaboration, and creativity. English language teaching, with its inherent focus on communication and cultural awareness, provides fertile ground for this shift. At the same time, teachers face an enduring paradox. English surrounds students everywhere, in music, games, memes, yet many still perceive classroom English as remote and lifeless. Gamification offers a bridge between the intrinsic motivation of play and the structured goals of education. Our research drew upon the theoretical models of Werbach and Hunter, Karl Kapp and Sebastian Deterding, who describe gamification as the process of using game thinking and mechanics to engage users and solve problems. Three principles guided our approach. Motivation through mechanics. Points, levels, and badges serve not as decoration but as signals of progress and mastery. Autonomy and choice. Players, or in our case, learners, stay engaged when they feel control over their actions. Feedback and visibility. Constant, meaningful feedback transforms effort into satisfaction. From a pedagogical viewpoint, gamification aligns with constructivist and social cultural theories of learning. Vygotsky's idea of the zone of proximal development finds a natural parallel in game design, where each new challenge lies just beyond the player's current competence, supported by scaffolding and feedback loops. The study asks a simple question: how can gamified design principles be integrated into the seventh grade English curriculum to enhance engagement and language performance? The objectives were to redesign selected curriculum units according to gamification principles, to observe changes in student motivation and participation, to evaluate how gamification interacts with ICT-based learning tools. Rather than adding isolated games to existing lessons, we embedded game logic directly into the curriculum structure itself. The goal was not to play games, but to make learning feel like a game, to apply the grammar of play to the grammar of English. The National English Language Curriculum for Lower Secondary Education in Ukraine, like many European frameworks, has recently shifted toward competence-oriented learning. Where earlier syllabi emphasized vocabulary lists and grammatical correctness, the modern framework prioritizes communicative skills, intercultural awareness, and digital literacy. Our comparative analysis of the earlier and updated curriculum versions revealed a clear trend. From teacher-centered instruction to student-centered interaction, from isolated exercises to project-based tasks, from linear testing to formative assessment and reflection. These changes create natural space for gamification since it thrives on autonomy, creativity, and feedback, exactly the qualities modern curricula now demand. The project was implemented in a 7th grade English classroom over one academic term. The class consisted of 23 students aged 12 to 13, representing a range of proficiency level. ICT integration included interactive platforms, Google Classroom, and a locally designed online leaderboard system. We structured the learning process into three stages that mirror the player experience. Motivation. Introducing the challenge and game world, students become language explorers. Completing quests, linguistic task of increasing complexity to gain points, badges, or experience levels. Reviewing progress, discussing strategies, and linking the learning experience to real-world communication. The teacher's role shifted from controller to game master, not removing structure but orchestrating it, maintaining suspense, and ensuring fairness. Our model combines extrinsic and intrinsic motivators in balanced proportion. Extrinsic elements included points for task completion, badges for creative or cooperative work, levels representing linguistic progress, leaderboards displaying cumulative results. Intrinsic motivators were embedded in the narrative. Students collaborated to protect the environment through English, which each unit representing a mission linked to a real ecological themes. Unlike a traditional grading system, this model made progress visible and incremental. Instead of one exam mark, students saw a trajectory of achievements. One of the most successful modules was titled Designing Your Dream National Park. It integrated environmental vocabulary, persuasive writing, and digital presentation skills. Students worked in small groups as eco-rangers, earning points for researching endangered species, writing descriptive paragraphs using target grammar structures, creating digital posters with slogans, presenting their park proposals in English. Each phase had clear criteria and immediate feedback. A group that produced a creative slogan such as Save the Forest, Save Our Future could earn a Visionary Ranger badge. Another group that improved their grammar accuracy across drafts gained a Language Builder award. Crucially, success was not limited to top achievers. Even students with lower proficiency found motivation in teamwork and visible progress. The final leaderboard showed that almost all participants reached at least level 3 or 5, indicating sustained engagement across the term. Three findings stand out. First, engagement increased measurably. Students logged into online tasks voluntarily and submitted optional activities for additional points. Attendance improved. Classroom energy shifted from compliance to curiosity. Second, motivation became more intrinsic over time. By the third unit, students no longer asked, "How many points is this worth?" but "What can we do next?" The game elements had served their purpose to ignite the learning drive and gradually receded into the background as learners internalized goals. Third, ICT integration supported reflection and feedback. Digital platforms allowed real time tracking of progress. Students could see their badges and levels, but also qualitative feedback on their writing or speaking. The leaderboard was not merely competitive, it became a shared narrative or collective progress. From these findings, several pedagogical insights emerge. Gamification redefines assessment. When progress is visualized through levels and badges, assessment becomes continuous, transparent, and less anxiety provoking. Teacher identity evolves. The teacher becomes a designer of experiences rather than a transmitter of content. This role requires creativity, empathy, and technological literacy, all competencies essential for modern educators. Collaboration replaces competition. Although points and leaderboards appear competitive, we notice a rise in peer support. Students helped each other unlock tasks and celebrated shared victories. Gamification supports inclusive learning. Different learners find different paths to success. Visual thinkers design posters, storytellers craft slogans, analytical minds master grammar challenges. This diversity of entry points makes the classroom more equitable. No innovation is without tension. Gamification demands time, technical readiness, and pedagogical balance. If overused, intrinsic rewards can overshadow learning goals. Teachers must therefore treat game elements as scaffolding, not substitute. Another challenge concerns sustainability. Once one novelty fades, engagement must rest on authentic communication and intellectual curiosity. In our experience, maintaining narrative continuity, linking each module to a shared storyline, helped sustain interest beyond the initial excitement. Finally, teacher training remains critical. Designing effective gamified environments requires not only familiarity with ICT tools, but also sensitivity to group dynamics and individual motivation patterns. On a broader scale, integrating gamification into curriculum development reflects the transformation of education itself. We are moving from a paradigm of content delivery to a paradigm of experience design. Digital technologies make this shift tangible, but the real change is psychological. The learner is no longer a passive recipient but an active participant in meaning making. Gamification aligns with 21st century competencies: collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and communication, the very skills language education aims to cultivate. When learners experience English as a tool for agency and creativity rather than mere correctness, they begin to use the language as it was meant to be used: to act, to connect, to imagine. Allow me to return to the opening question. When was the last time your student smiled during a grammar exercise? Gamification reminds us that joy and rigor are not opposites. The mechanics of play can coexist with the discipline of learning. When integrated thoughtfully, they transform the classroom into a living system of challenge and reward, reflection and growth. Our experience shows that when students are given a clear purpose, visible progress, and the chance to collaborate, that not only learn English, they begin to think in English. The language becomes a medium of exploration rather than memorization. In this sense, gamification is not about turning education into entertainment. It's about restoring the human need for play as a path to meaning. As teachers and researchers, our task is to design learning environments where curiosity, creativity, and courage to experiment become everyday habits. If we can do that, then the classroom will no longer be a place students have to attend. It will be a world they choose to enter. Thank you for listening, for teaching, and for daring to innovate. Because every time we make learning more human, we make it more powerful.